welcome. If you're new to the channel, my name is Elliott and you're watching Rickety Ski Reviews. Today we're talking about who makes the best ski jacket. Now, full disclosure, I'm not sponsored by anyone, don't take any money from any ski brands, so this is just my honest opinion. I went out, I bought all of these jackets with my own money because I wanted to test who makes the best ski jacket. The problem with a lot of these videos is that everybody who does ski content, typically they pick up brands. Either they do goggle brands, ski jacket brands, whatever. I don't have any of that. So while I'm kind of untainted by that, I'm gonna give you my honest opinion. Who makes the best ski jacket? What's the best ski jacket for your money? I included Arcteryx, Mammut, Patagonia, Norrona, I'm not sure if I'm saying that right, DC, Armada, and the Kjus Ligety jacket. Full disclosure, for all of these, I tested these on the ski hill, and I'm gonna give you my honest opinion. Now, jacket prices range from $350 to $720 to $800 to $1,800. Just depends on when you buy them, where you buy them from, etc. Also, you don't have to get a super expensive jacket in order to be warm and comfortable. For a lot of people, if you're not skiing in the rain or in like the big storms, these jackets are perfectly fine. This is my Armada Reedy 2L jacket. This is insulated, it's warm, it's comfortable, it's got kind of the neck covers. I spent about $140 on this when it was on sale. I think it's around $200 when it's not on sale. But it is not the best jacket I've ever owned. For one, it is not waterproof even slightly. It's also insulated, so you can't really pack layers into it. But overall, like, if you have to buy a jacket, you're only skiing 5 to 10 days a year, this will probably be fine. Or if you're a fair weather skier, you don't like skiing in the spring, whatever, this is just fine for most people. But when I took it to France and I was traveling, I took this jacket as like a backup, and just walking around Chamonix when it was raining, this thing was soaked through. Just walking like from shop to shop, and let alone I could not take this to the ski area. It was not suitable versus my Mammut jacket. And if you're traveling or if you're in extreme weather, this just does not cut it. But for a lot of people, I'm not like shaming you, I'm not, you know, there's plenty of good alternatives to getting a good jacket. But if you need this to last you, if you're in extreme weather, if you're traveling and you can only carry so many layers, I would not recommend this jacket. I've also got this DC Haven jacket. It's got all of the vents, it's got the face covers, but it is not warm, it is not waterproof, and the wind cuts right through it. If you get any kind of moisture or snow, you'll get little pockets of ice forming on the outside of your jacket. It's just not my jacket of choice. It worked well, it worked fine. If you're on a budget, these two jackets work just fine for most people. But if you're somebody who skis in extreme weather or in extreme snow, or goes after those big powder storms, or wants to travel, I would steer you away from these jackets in general. They just don't kind of meet the grade of these other jackets. Also, I will have affiliate links to all of these jackets, so if you're shopping for this right now and you want to support the channel, that's a really great way to do it because it doesn't cost you anything, and a portion of that purchase goes back to me and helps me recoup the cost, because this is not cheap. Buying a bunch of ultra high-end jackets and not being sponsored by any of these brands means I saved up months of YouTube ad revenue so I could buy these out of my own pocket. So if you want to support the channel, please consider using those links if you're buying skis, any other gear. I'll have REI, Backcountry, Evo is the big one that I utilize a lot and the one that I kind of swear by. So as always, please use those affiliate links down below if you're buying skis or jackets. It's what allows us to make these videos independently. Let's talk about everyone's favorite, the Arcteryx Sabre SV. Now the Sabre is kind of like the model, and then the SV is the most premium, most weatherproof, severe snow version of that jacket. So that's what I went with, just so I could kind of see Arcteryx's best offering. This jacket normally retails for $900. Right now you can get it for $720 on Evo, and I'll have a link down below if you're interested. But this is not a cheap jacket. It's using GoreTex Pro 2.0 3-layer GoreTex, but it has a waterproof rating of 28,000 millimeters and a breathability rating of 25,000. As far as like specific specs go, I'm going to talk more about how like it actually worked on snow. As far as my impressions on it, my first impressions were really positive. The material is nice, the fit is really nice, the cut feels really good. I think that this is the most premium material of all the jackets that I tried, where it blended breathability, good ventilation with durability. It kept the wind off of you, it kept rain from kind of coming in, it kept snow off of your face. I think that this is, as far as material goes, the highest quality jacket that I tried. Somebody more scientific than me may be able to disprove this, but as far as like quality of material, this felt premium. and it did a really good job of like keeping the elements off of me. But as always, every product has pros and cons, so we'll talk about that. Now in all these jackets I ordered an XL. I'm 6'1", 240 pounds. So that'll give you an idea of how this kind of fits. The fit is excellent. The storm hood comes all the way up when you're wearing a helmet comfortably. Fasteners are kind of these bungees that tighten. But they have push buttons on the inside. The color is nice. It comes with the ski goggle holder on the inside. Ski pass on the like bicep. Not a huge fan of that. The whole point of having it on your sleeve is so you can kind of wave through the scanner. Pretty minimal pockets, just one here on the chest and a couple on the inside. Very minimal with the pockets. As you can tell with the SV version, it's very crinkly, which is fine. It's a good material. Though if you don't want like that crinkle, you may go with a different version. Material's nice, fits well with a good range of motion. When you're kind of dragging through your arm, you don't want to feel like the jacket's holding you back. It also does a great job with the ventilation, which is something you care about with a premium jacket like this. Like when I was skiing in France, we would have big storms come through. You'd want to be dry and warm and keep the wind off of you. But also when you're walking to the train station, when you're walking around, you wanted to have this ventilation, or when the weather changes on you, or sometimes when you're skiing in the woods and you're working hard, you don't want to be sweating and then have yourself get cold on the chair ride down. So ventilation is huge, and I feel like they totally nailed it. The ventilation's not flappy, it's not limited. I feel like they did a perfect job. It's got 2 zippers on it. Really, really high-end stuff. Material is really what you write home about here. It's breathable. It does a great job of like temperature moderation without having you kind of get hot and then you need to open everything up. It felt like I was able to ski, and once I got the wind kind of going through, I had the elements off of me, but it was kind of able to let air out through these armholes really well. Sometimes some of the older GoreTex, when GoreTex first came out, felt very stuffy. This manages to be not only like water resistant, but also feels like it has a little bit of breathing to it, which is nice, without feeling like the wind's just cutting through you. It's really hard to balance, and I feel like Arcteryx totally nailed it there. It's also like the cut and fit of it gives you room in specific areas, making it easy to layer in with your base layers. Some jackets, the way that they're kind of cut, it doesn't give you that much room for kind of playing with that layering. It does all of that while having a fantastic range of motion, in a way that makes sense for active skiers. You know, not just range of motion for the sake of it, but when you're driving through the turn, when you're braking at the hips, this gives you room where you need it without kind of wasting material. Also, like I said, the material feels extremely premium and is nice because it'll keep itself out of the landfill long term. I also had excellent customer support with them. I talked with them because I was buying a used version of their product, and I was like, will I still be covered by the free repairs and everything? Initially, I was looking at buying a used product, and Arcteryx still stands by their product saying that they would cover repairs in the future, which is nice. Not everybody does that. You can also buy used gear directly from Arcteryx, which I think is just a plus. But now that we talked about all the goods of this jacket, let me tell you some of the downsides that they don't tell you about this $900 jacket. God help me. Okay, first off, I kind of mentioned it before, but not having a zipper on the sleeve seems like a missed layup. You know, that was such an easy thing to put on here. Yeah, sure, you have it on the like bicep here, but it's really not as useful as having it here where you can just kind of swipe your arm through. At that point, you might as well just put your pass in your snow pants. The second one, this is kind of nitpicky, but the zipper feels kind of cheap. For a $900 jacket, the first couple days that I used it, I was already having jamming at the bottom of the zipper, and just getting initiated didn't feel very premium. Not a big deal, but I just noticed on some of these other jackets, the zippers seem to be a little bit smoother and a little bit better built. It's such a small thing, but it seems like a weird corner to cut. The other con is the material. It does a nice job having a little bit of cloth that kind of covers over the zipper here, but it doesn't wrap over. And what I found is that a lot of modern jackets now are making this material that touches your face a little bit softer. I think here they went for a purely utilitarian build. When you zip it up, it's just kind of that rough raw material. Now, from a utilitarian standpoint, maybe that doesn't matter to you, but I think for a quality of life thing, when you think about how long you're spending in this ski jacket year after year, it would have been nice to have a bit of a softer material here around the face. And then this zipper piece is okay. I wish they would have just given it a little bit more length so it would have covered over the other part of the zipper. These are all nitpicks. Overall, this is a great jacket, but I just want to point out some of the quality of life things to you that I noticed as somebody who, you know, uses ski jackets a lot in the winter. But this is just a very rough material. Obviously, it's great for keeping the elements out, but when your face is rubbing on it all day. The other thing I noticed for a $900 jacket, there are no sleeves, like no powder sleeves kind of keeping snow out. For maybe some people that doesn't matter, but I've noticed that when I crash, it's a lot easier to clear the snow out if you have a sleeve. This is my sweatshirt. If you have a sleeve here to kind of keep it out. In some cases, I don't like the sleeves where they're a little too pinchy, but I've seen it done well, and Arcteryx decided to skip it altogether, which for a $900 jacket seems a little absurd. The collar can be a bit tight for helmets. It's not bad, but if you have a large head like me, you may notice that when you have it zipped up all the way, it gets a little tight around the helmet. Now, I did find that like you can kind of open it up, but putting the hood up over the top of the helmet felt a little snugger than I would have liked. Maybe that doesn't matter to you, but as someone with a big head, I find with a lot of jackets, I can't actually put the hood up without it really being tight. So if you have a big head, maybe go up a size if you're kind of on the border, but it wasn't a big deal. These are all nitpicks overall. So what would I give this for a score? Honestly, I like this product. I think that if you're somebody who really needs to keep the snow off you, if you're out in the middle of a storm, if you're out somewhere where it rains a lot, this is a nice jacket. You're not wasting your money in any sense of the word. And I think that this is the nicest material of all the jackets I tested. And like on paper, if you just kind of did line item by line item, spec for spec, this probably is the best jacket out of the lineup. But for me, in my opinion, it's missing a lot of quality of life features that I would expect for a jacket of this caliber. You know, the devil's in the details. Those little things, like what rubs on your face all day long, make a big difference. The not having a snow sleeve is a big deal for some people. I mean, it comes with the snow skirt, so they thought of that much. And I just feel like, in this case, Arcteryx is resting on their laurels a little bit. They made a nice jacket. They know that their reputation is high, and they're not skimping on the materials, which is nice to see. But I think that right now, there are a lot of other up-and-coming ski jacket brands that have kind of caught up with them now, and I don't think you can kind of rest on your laurels and skip some of these little features. Like, the zipper should be nicer on a jacket like this. The snow sleeves should be there, or at least have the option to have them. And this shouldn't be rough on your face if you're skiing in it all day. Again, those are minor things, but to me it seems like Arcteryx knows they have a nice cut, they know they have nice material, and they've kind of stopped running the race, so to speak. And I would like to see them kind of improve now on some of those quality of life features if they're gonna charge people that much. That, and like, if you factor in the price, I think from a utilitarian perspective, this is like close to a 9 out of 10. But for me, with missing all of these features and with the price included, it is an 8.6 out of 10. It's a nice jacket, it's a nice product, but it could make a lot of little tweaks to really improve the experience for skiers. So, great product, but I'd like to see them do a couple of things that their competitors are already doing. Don't just go for the brand, and especially when they're charging close to twice what some of their competitors charge. Next up, we have the Patagonia Storm Shift jacket. Now, typically this retails for $500, but you can get it for $249.50. I've talked about this before, but Patagonia does a really good job. They sell their own used products. They will repair their products indefinitely. If they cannot repair your product, they will give you a store credit to purchase something else. But they are trying really hard to keep clothing out of the landfill, similar to Arcteryx, and I really appreciate that effort. Great customer support anytime I've worked with them. You do have to pay, I think it's like $10 to ship it. You have to pay the shipping, but I don't know, what do you want? So, for this jacket, it has a waterproof rating of 28,000 millimeters and a breathability rating of 20,000 grams. I'll also have a link. This is available for $249.50, but that's for like a very specific color and size. I think typically I was seeing it for about $4.99. I did get this one on sale. I paid about $350 for this jacket. Now, first impressions were really positive. It has this very odd, see if the camera can pick it up, very odd inner layer of insulation. I have found that Patagonia tends to run a little bit small, so in this case, at 6'1", 240 pounds, I got a double XL. And I think that it fits pretty similar to like Mammut and Arcteryx XL. Maybe a little bit roomier. So, first impressions, surprisingly positive actually. I've had some Patagonia jackets and snow pants that I wasn't too thrilled by. I've had some really good jackets that I had for ski racing, like our ski team had them, and they lasted so long. Ski racing, you come across the GS gates a lot. Slalom gates will kind of sneak through behind your crossing guard or whatever you call that. What do they call it? Pole guard. I've always found that Patagonia does a pretty good job. I had my college race jacket still, and I've had it for like 10 years. Good ventilation, zippers are covered well. You've kind of got that tape zip, and you don't just have it kind of in that one spot like the Arcteryx. It goes all the way down to kind of keep wind from coming through the zipper. The neckline feels great when you're wearing it with a ski helmet. The insulation's a little odd, like I said, but it's not intrusive, and it's light enough that you don't really notice it. I don't know that you need it. I think for me, I tend to prefer not having an insulated layer just so that I can like pack my own fleeces in it. It makes it so it's a little bit less customizable, but it's mostly non-intrusive and pretty thin, so I'll give it a pass for now. Let's talk about the pros. I think I'm kind of diving into it already, but there's a lot to like about this jacket, and for that price point, I feel like you're getting a lot of bang for your buck, especially with having GoreTex and everything else. The cut is fabulous. It fits around my lower torso well. It's long enough that it's kind of keeping snow out of my snow pants. Plenty of range of motion while I was skiing. It felt comfortable. It was protecting from wind without having any kind of gaps in there for wind to kind of sneak through. All of the like customizable parts where like these sleeves are nice and open, while still having Velcro where you can tighten it down if you want. It's got that goggle holder there that you expect to see. A nice range of pockets as well. It's got two on the sides here that kind of go vertical, and then one on the chest, which is nice for skiers if you carry your phone with you, or if you like to carry snacks with you while you ski. I particularly like to carry like gum with me just to get to my ears to pop because I'm at higher elevation. The materials feel premium on the exterior. It's waterproof without crinkling a lot. It's nice and breathable. I just think that the range of motion is really where this shines. The quality of life features are really nice. This is kind of the opposite end of Arcteryx. The waterproof is okay. It's definitely not shielding me from the wind or harsher snow or harsher rain elements as much as Arcteryx, but still pretty good. I'd say 95% of the time it's doing the job. There's just a couple of like big gusts where you'll feel stuff come through, or really heavy rain where you start to feel a little bit of leakage, but again, I think that as long as you kind of kept this well treated and kept applying the waterproofing on it throughout the year, I don't think you're gonna have any problems. This is a very premium jacket for what you're paying. You know, it's not quite at that like gold standard of Arcteryx for waterproofing, but I think for everybody, as long as you take good care of it, it will get you through phenomenally. But like any product, this product has some cons, so let's talk about it. The downsides. The downsides are minimal pockets on the exterior. You know, my Mammut jacket kind of has more options. You can put your phone on kind of this chest pocket, but there's not a lot of room. I think for skiers in particular, it's important to have pocket options, because if you land on your keys or land on your phone, depending on where you keep stuff, you don't want to have to use your snow pant pockets. This year I had like not slept, taking care of my child with a disability, and I nuked myself into the road. But I landed, my keys were in my, you know, thigh pocket on my snow pants. And man, it really dug that key straight into my thigh and hurt me a lot more than it would have. And, you know, so I, now knowing with my Mammut jacket, I use the pockets in a particular way based on where I think I'm gonna land or where's kind of a safe place to keep certain things. And so I think with jackets, it'd be nice to see a little more customization there. Waistband feels a little bit weak, like it doesn't hold itself cinched very well. Compared to like the Arcteryx or the Mammut, it just feels like it's kind of there. It's not a very strong elastic like you'd like to see. Oh, the styles can feel a little bit tacky. I love this green on brown, but if you just look at some of the other colors they offer for this jacket, it's not great. It's kind of like, I don't know why, it just seems like little kid colors. Like if you look at the blue on gray, that looks great. But you look like the orange into brown or brown onto brown, I'm not sure why. These styles always seem a little immature for what the product is and for who the client is. It's like, I'd like kind of more subtle, gradual colors. Like I said, I found the green on brown looks really good, but when you have a lot of different colors, it's hard to mix it with snow pants and ski goggles and everything. I don't know. I feel like you look at my Mammut, it's just like a classic red. It blends with everything else. This jacket is kind of the exception, but a lot of the other products, it's really hard to mix and match orange into burnt orange. Maybe you love their color schemes. I just feel like, what am I, 10? I don't know. I feel like the style would have been really cool 5 to 10 years ago, but I think that the colors need a refresh or reapproach, at least for the men's stuff. But then I also see like the women's products and they look great. So that's always been kind of the case. Men's running shoes do the same thing. I would like to see somebody reassess the color palette for the men's product specifically. But you know, maybe that's more of a personal taste thing. Oh, the other downside is the ventilation range isn't as wide as Mammut or Arcteryx. You can see it kind of stops midway up here. It's fine, you're still getting the ventilation, which I'm thrilled about, but it is slightly less range than you might hope to see. And you know, with that, on the really warm days we get in spring skiing, you're not getting quite as much airflow in and out. It makes it so the jacket doesn't appear boxy like my Mammut jacket can, or the Arcteryx, but you know, a small drawback. So what would I give this jacket for a score? Honestly, I like this a lot. I think this is the most slept on ski jacket out there. Bang for your buck, you're getting a tremendous jacket, you're getting great waterproofing, you're getting great cut, great range of motion. I really think this is one of the better products, and it's half the price of some of the Arcteryx. They're not quite half, but close, right? 5/9 the cost of a new Arcteryx. I think bang for your buck, you cannot go wrong with this product. It provides you so much value. It provides you insulation, all the maneuverability you could want, all of the passes. Like, it has the sleeve pocket that both, oh, there's my pass. I better make sure I keep this. It has the sleeve pockets that only half of these have. The only other one that does it is Mammut out of these high-end jackets. Arcteryx has it on the bicep. Norrona skipped it altogether. For this being one of the cheaper jackets on the line up here, and it has this sleeve pocket, I think that's awesome. I mean, these are little things. It doesn't really make a big difference, but it's a quality of life thing. Having that pass pocket here allows me to lean forward, swipe my hand through the gate, and then not have to bang my knees off of it every single time. Doesn't matter, not a tremendous amount, but if you think about it, every single lap, every time you go skiing, it adds up over time. And sure, maybe I just need to go through that wand a little bit slower, but it's nice, it adds up. So these quality of life things, in my opinion, make a big difference. And Patagonia does a nice job of blending high quality materials, nice range of motion, well cut, good looking jackets with those little quality of life features that skiers are looking for. But it's just missing a few things as well, where like being insulated like this really isn't that helpful. It's much easier to layer things yourself, so it's like, it feels like it just shot itself in the foot a little bit. It also, like, not having the proper ventilation, I don't think it's necessarily as good as our Arcteryx Sabre SV, as like quality for the material, breathability, all that stuff. But man, it gets like 90% of the way there for nearly half the price. So for me, like, bang for your buck, I think this might be the best bang for your buck jacket out there. I'm very impressed with this Patagonia Storm Shift jacket. They make a bunch of other models, and it's easy to get kind of distracted by all the colors. I would go straight for the Storm Shift. I've tried some of the other ones and been really unimpressed. They're very minimal. I feel like once you get lower down in some of Patagonia's ski jackets, they start cutting some corners that I wouldn't want cut. But, you know, for the Storm Shift jacket, I'm very impressed. So for me, this is a 9 out of 10. This is fabulous. I think this is awesome. Would have no issue recommending this to people. I do think if you're like hiking or doing backcountry skiing, maybe you're looking for something that is a little bit better in the ventilation, a little less lifestyle. But as far as like the quality of life and lifestyle and understanding what skiers are doing on a day-to-day basis, this hits an absolute home run. So 9 out of 10, tremendous Patagonia jacket. And I'll have links down below so you can find it. Like I said, some of the obscure sizes are $250 right now, but $500 for this jacket is still a very solid buy. And you know, you can, I do these steel videos throughout the summer, so keep an eye out. I'll include this one kind of on my radar of things as they go on sale later in the year. You have the Norrona Lofoten jacket. Now this jacket is a 3-layer jacket. It is ultra lightweight. It has a waterproof rating of 28,000 millimeters. But honestly, this will be my shortest review because this jacket is not suitable for a skier. It's listed as a ski jacket, but 100% I don't think it is. This jacket is super lightweight, which is great, but the problem is it's too lightweight. The wind rips right through it. It does not hold its form. It does not hold up against the wind when you're skiing. Additionally, it's not long enough around the waist, and there's zero ventilation. This jacket retails for $600, and I'm sure that it's a great backcountry or hiking jacket, but even if that's the case, I couldn't imagine doing backcountry skiing without the pit zips. I'm not a big backcountry skier, so maybe I'm missing something, but this jacket is so undurable and so paper thin that the wind just rips right through it. The day I took it out, it rained a little bit, so it was decent, but I could just see crashing on this and shredding it apart. It is paper thin and the wind cuts right through it. This may be a better jacket for backpackers or somebody doing something else. It's very lightweight, it feels good on you, but it is missing so many features that I cannot recommend this. So it's got this face cover, which is fine. Very minimal pockets. There's no zipper here on the sleeve for your season pass. There's no ventilation, like I said earlier. Zero interior pockets. No kind of goggle holder. You can practically see right through it. I'm sure there is a function for this. I think this is just a mix-up with marketing where this jacket is poorly marketed, but I would not recommend the Norrona Lofoten for a ski jacket. It's not thick enough to kind of keep the wind from coming through. It is waterproof enough, so I guess it's got that going for it. There's no quality of life features for an actual skier. It's way, way, way expensive for what you're actually getting out of it. And if you are a resort skier, there's no reason to buy this. There's much better products for much better prices. They may in fact make other jackets, but this was what was recommended to me as a skier. The only reason I bought it in the first place is I was reading through some forums. It was highly recommended for skiers. Maybe that was astroturfing by the company. Who knows? That's conspiratorial. But in general, this jacket is fine. Probably makes a nice hiking jacket. It is the lightest jacket I've ever put on, but it is not nearly sturdy or thick enough to be a good ski jacket. So for me, it's a pass. I'm not even gonna score it. I think it's just a mismatch. All right, now let's talk about the most expensive jacket I tried. Now you'll notice it's not in the lineup. That's because it had an issue with the collar where it was rubbing on my helmet, and they have a pretty strict return policy, so I did not want to push it. It was an expensive jacket, and I wanted to make sure that if it didn't work for me, I got it back to them, and there's no funny business there. So this jacket is the Kjus Ligety jacket, and I'll have video footage of me wearing it here. Typically this jacket retails for $1,500. Right now on their site you can get it for $1,129. I think when I got it, I found a deal where I got it for like $900. I will say when I talked to their customer support, they were beyond nice. They have a really nice functioning like fitting software where you kind of go through, answer all these questions, and then they'll kind of go through, and even when I talked to the person, they wanted to verify the size. So it seems like you're really getting white glove treatment when you buy this product. That being said, $1,500 for a jacket is absurd, but we'll get into that. This jacket has a couple cool features. It has a Kjus AC vent on the forearms. It also has this like special collar that can be extended to kind of give you more room and more airflow for hot days without having to have as like much kind of stuff open or having the jacket totally unzipped. But now that we've kind of covered the basics of this $1,500 jacket, I mean, I really wanted to cover this because I feel like high-end products don't always get covered. No one's gonna talk about it. Well, why is the jacket $1,500? Well, I'm too broke, so no one's ever gonna know. I went into this wanting to own the product and really try it, but you know, after I spent my $900 and tested it, it had a few things that were just driving me nuts that did not work properly around my helmet. And it wasn't that the jacket didn't fit, it was that my head was too big and it was just rubbing on the collar every time I turned my head, and it did not give me proper range of motion. So I had all the tags on it. I want to make sure Kjus got their product back with minimal use, and you know, that I was acting in good faith. But I did not keep this product. First, let's talk about the good. At first, I hated the hood. It is not a storm hood, which means like, if you see on my sweatshirt how the collar and the hood are all one piece. Some jackets have your basic collar like a crew neck, and then the hood kind of velcros into the sides. This is the second one where it's a hood that's detachable that velcros into the sides. At first I hated that, but I found that the more I skied on windy days, it actually does a better job staying on your face where the hood isn't able to kind of rotate the collar. So I wouldn't be totally swayed away by that if you think you might like it. It is actually a well-designed, nice jacket. It's warm, it's very well insulated, the vents feel good, especially that face vent is a very nice design. I think Kjus is doing a nice job with a very unique, nice, like well thought out design. I'm not sure how involved Ted is, but if that's his involvement, that's a cool design where you kind of feel the wind come right through that zipper line. On a warmish day, that's a nice feature. The pockets are really thoughtful. They have like pockets with sub pockets. There's a goggle cleaner. This is kind of like getting a luxury car where it has all these little hidden features and nice pieces to it. Everything is just like very well thought out, nice touches. I do wish it had lower pockets for the gloves, kind of like my Mammuts do. I like to take my gloves off on the mountain when it's warmer, and I like to kind of put them in those lower, but that's kind of a nitpick. Movement around the arms is very good. The range of motion, it's very comfortable. It really allows you to kind of drive that downhill hand. That seems like another kind of thoughtful piece brought by Ted. You never know how involved these people are or who to give credit, right? Some guy at the Kjus place is like, no, I designed that, but it is well thought out. The range of motion is nice. The best thing, honestly, and I can't believe more companies haven't thought of this, Kjus has the softest material on the collar of the jacket. The part that touches your face non-stop. I mean, I know people wear buffs or whatever, but man, it was so soft and so nice. These little touches just to be like, hey, we see you, we know what parts you care about. Somebody really put a lot of time and effort to making this feel like a premium jacket. Now, whether or not it's worth $1,500, we'll talk about that later. But all in all, every little detail was very thoughtful and very specific to skiers. And that's the nice thing about having a ski-specific jacket. I love these products, but they are definitely feel like they were designed originally by people who are hiking and doing backcountry and then kind of molded into a ski jacket. Specifically like some of the climbing stuff. Kjus really seems like this is ground up a ski jacket. But now that we talked about the good, let's talk about the cons. And this jacket definitely has a few big downsides that keep it from being something I recommend. First off, it's stiff around the neck. I found that I had to have the ventilation thing open just to have enough range of motion all the time, even when it was cold out. I felt like Batman, like in the old Batman movies where you have to kind of move with your shoulders just to be able to talk. That was the most irritating part. And if you didn't, it would kind of rub on my helmet. Again, I have a big head, so maybe that's part of it, but I feel like this jacket should be able to accommodate for bigger heads. If I turn my head more than 45 degrees, it would drag on the neck and make that terrible noise, or just kind of give me friction. Also, the gloves don't fit into the armholes well. I feel like they're a little too small. I would have liked to seen wider armholes that could kind of cinch down if you needed it. This seems like it's specifically for thin gloves or people who don't have big mittens. I'm not like using snowboard mittens, but I'm using those race ones, and I needed more room in the sleeves here. The insulation, it feels a bit bulky. Like the ventilation works well when there's a strong wind, but man, if you get into stale air or anywhere where you're not having airflow, it is really easy to overheat. I would rather have a shell that I can layer in rather than a just purely warm jacket, because when you get that variety of weather like you get out here in Idaho, this jacket does not work well for warm weather. There's only so much you can kind of get rid of heat when you have that jacket insulating you. I would rather have like a thinner version of this or with like a detachable liner or something like that, because this really, having such a thick jacket really limits your mobility. It reminded me a lot of the old carbon jackets. We used to have those in our like ski racing program where they're just so big and bulky. I'd rather see a jacket that had less insulation and more room for kind of customization. I get that you're paying a lot of money, so you want it to be warm, and you know, I'm sure that there was like a decision made at one point, but man, these can feel stuffy really quick, especially if you have to walk anywhere. Maybe if you're skiing out in Deer Valley, you know, you have a valet for your skis or whatever they do over there. But for the rest of us walking from parking lots, I don't know. So what would I give this for a score? Honestly, if it was in a vacuum, I think it's probably close to an 8 out of 10. It's a nice, well-made, well-thought-out jacket. Like that face cover feels so premium. It's well centered over the face. The material's extremely comfortable. Just that alone makes me say like, okay, it's nice there. But if you then factor in that big price of $1,500, that is an absurd amount of money. That's an extra $600 over the Arcteryx. it's just an absurd amount of money, and I really, with the price, I think it's a premium product, but it's missing a lot of utilitarian features and a lot of quality of life with that ventilation. I would not spend $1,500 on this jacket. So for me, it's a 6.5 out of 10. I don't mind paying premium for nice gear. You know, obviously I bought all this gear. But this feels more like paying premium for little touches, like a goggle cleaner or for like a nice face cloth. Both of which are things people can fix on their own. You can fix with a necky. You can put your own goggle cleaner inside of your jacket. They're nice touches, but they're not fixing any really important issue that skiers are having. And if I was traveling with that Kjus jacket, it's way too bulky. Getting it in and out of my bag for travel, going around France, I would not want that jacket. So for me, it's a 6.5 out of 10. It has some nice touches. It's definitely thoughtful in what skiers care about. But if you put in the value and put in some of the big important things it misses with that bulky, dense jacket, I just wouldn't recommend it and wouldn't buy it personally. You know, it can feel stiffer on the shoulders. There's a lot of insulation. There's a few things that would be easy for them to fix that could make me more highly recommend it. But with missing a couple of the swings that they took and with the high price, I gotta give it a 6.5 out of 10. All right, and finally we have the Mammut Haldigrat. Now, again, I bought this ski jacket myself, and in this case, this one I bought used. I bought it at Gear Trade last summer and then used it all season. So this jacket was at a bit of a disadvantage in it being used, but that did not slow it down. So just giving you the specs here, the waterproofing is 30,000 millimeters and the breathability is 30,000 grams. This jacket retails for $625, though I typically see it on sale this time of year. It just depends. Although with the tariffs, it may go up. So I guess if you're looking at it, I wouldn't hesitate. But those are just kind of the specs on paper. Let me tell you about my real world experience with this jacket, having worn it all year, daily driving it. This ski jacket was phenomenal. Now, a couple nice little features. It has this little waterproof pouch here, which works well for your phone. You've also got the goggle case, taped off seams to prevent water from coming in, and the full snow skirt. You've got the season pass holder pocket in the sleeve where I like to see it, with a taped off zipper. This is kind of a nice color because the orange shows off the features a little bit better. You've also got the powder guard sleeves, but unlike most sleeves, they're not like really tight onto your wrist, so you can check your watch easily without having to like really pull on it, which is a nice feature. In my opinion, the nicest sleeves for gloves and mittens. You can tighten it down if you've got the big powder ones, or keep it open for your race mittens like I have. This is something Arcteryx could learn from. See this different texture material by my face? This is a very thin, soft kind of fleece material. Not like staticky, almost like a smooth fleece. It is so nice. It feels good on your face on both sides. This is a very nice touch, and it's kind of taped around the seams so nothing leaks through. You've got two pockets here, two pockets down low here. These don't get used a ton. I like keeping my keys here as well as using one side to either put my camera when I'm filming, or I like to put my mittens in here when I ride the ski lift. Full storm hood. The other feature that's really important, you've got this full ventilation. This is the largest ventilation out of all of these jackets, which is really nice because you can kind of customize how much breathability you have. It can deform a little bit and look a little odd. So if you care a lot about looks and style, I don't know, it may matter to you. It doesn't really matter to me. I'd rather have the option to have more breathability and more functionality. But you know, if you don't like that, you can just not zip it up and down all the way. It has two zippers, so you can like fully customize it. Whereas like my DC jacket only had one. See, so I can like just do, okay, I only want it down this way. I don't want it to look weird when the wind hits it. Fine. I prefer the option. But now that we showed you all the features of the jacket, let's talk about how it actually works on snow. What was my first impression? I don't know, I mean, I skied in this a year. So what was my long-term impression? Well, this is the nicest jacket I've ever owned, and I will not go back. I know I've used that term before. This is hands down the nicest jacket I've ever owned for several reasons. We'll jump into it. We'll talk about the pros. Like any product, it has a couple of drawbacks and cons, so maybe things that you'll care about. The other thing I noticed as far as an impression, I took this jacket to Chamonix. I took this one and my Armada jacket, thinking, you know, maybe I'll use a little bit of both. I used the Armada jacket once when this was drying in my hotel after a long day of skiing, and the Armada jacket was pretty much useless. I used this for a full week plus in Chamonix, and this jacket absolutely saved my hide, kept me dry, was great to travel with. This jacket was phenomenal. The material and waterproofing is A+. I had it in the rain of Chamonix. It was like raining in the village, and then I had big snowstorms up in the Alps. We had a big powder day. You can see some of that footage, and this jacket held up phenomenally. Also, the Alps have very, very rigorous winds. You know, Bogus Basin does too, but this hood completely kept the wind out. It kept me warm in like really big snowstorm situations. The sleeves are like the perfect length, so the wind doesn't kind of cut in there. The length at the bottom is perfect, so it completely keeps you warm, keeps you dry. It also, like when you're in Chamonix, you are not driving, at least I wasn't. I was taking trains to every place, right? So you would take the train, maybe walk a kilometer or two to the ski hill, just because I like riding the train, I don't know. But this jacket was nice because when I was doing those walks at the lower altitudes, it would be warm out and I could just open up these zips, open everything up, and it was perfectly comfortable walking to the train station, getting off the train, walking to the gondola. It was so nice in having those options. It worked in warm temperatures, cool temperatures, stormy temperatures. I put this jacket through just every possible climate, and it performed above and beyond. And also, Mammut has a history of being developed in the French Alps, so a lot of that is kind of shown off with the design. It's really, really amazing. But anyway, that's just kind of my anecdotal experience with the jacket, because like I said, I had my old jacket that was kind of a cheaper Armada jacket, and I thought about donating it while I was there, honestly, because it really didn't hold up to the rain, didn't have any kind of ventilation, and you know, I had it as a backup in case it got cold. It wasn't good in cold situations versus this with layers of fleece. But let's talk about the specific pros, and then we'll talk about the cons, and then we'll talk about overall score. The first pro, or the first good thing I noticed, is that this is probably the best cut out of all the jackets. The fit and cut around the face specifically is A+. Like I said, it has that softer material, but also, this is the first hood I've had that really worked properly with someone with a large head and that has a larger ski helmet. That part specifically worked phenomenally. It's also probably got the best range of motion that I've seen. The sleeves going into Mittens is probably the best one I've seen. It's probably just as good as Arcteryx, but again, it has that little powder skirt. So it's like on the level of Arcteryx with those nice quality of life features. Honestly, every quality of life piece you could look for out of a ski jacket is here. The soft face cover, the powder cover on the wrist, the snow skirt around the waist, the usable pockets on the exterior and the interior. I know Jens from Stompin' Tutorial, he had a whole thing about how I'll lift it up here, how he doesn't like these lower pockets because when you're kind of breaking at the hips while you're skiing, they're not usable. And I do agree. I would not put a lot of things in these, especially if you want full range of motion. But when you're on the ski lift, having these little pockets is really nice. I just put my mittens in there, and it does have a functionality. But I agree with him as far as like the premise goes of not needing them or not wanting to put stuff there. But this has alternatives where I can put my phone, where I can put my keys. And then these are just a nice feature for, hey, put your mittens in, put your necky in while you're walking from area to area. So I agree with him, but I don't want to see jackets get rid of them. I think they do have some functionality here and there. And like I said, the waterproofing and windproofing and rainproofing and snowproofing, all of that, they just completely hit it out of the park. The other nice feature, these little zipper things. Like, dude, look at this. This Arcteryx jacket, $900, right? What do you get on the zipper thing? Just a cheap little tassel. What do you get on your $625 Mammut? This like solid plastic piece into like this little climbing rope that is so nice to just pull up and pull down, especially when you have mittens or things that are hard to grab with. Quality of life, little thoughtful features with a practical, well-made, nice material jacket. It's like the perfect blend. You take what I like about the Patagonia, where you have these quality of life things are really thought out, comfortable, and then you mix it with a material that is on par with Arcteryx. It's maybe slightly less as far as like waterproofing goes, but honestly, the trade-off is that it doesn't crinkle as much and it has more fluid range of motion, and I would rather take this over the Arcteryx. If you're 100% like in the biggest storms of the year and you're, I don't know, climbing Kilimanjaro or whatever people do with these, sure, go for it. But I have yet to find a rainy day or snowy day that overwhelm this jacket's waterproofing. Honestly, this is probably the best cut and the best fit out of the entire group. And on top of it, the material and waterproofing is nicer than the Patagonia. It's like the perfect blend. If you took these two jackets and combined them, it makes into this jacket, and even does things that Patagonia doesn't think of. This little zipper, Patagonia didn't think of that. Softer material around the face. Patagonia doesn't do that. Granted, this is a cheaper jacket, so I'm not like digging at Patagonia. It has all of the creature comforts and quality of life comforts that Patagonia has and more, and has a nicer material. But now that I've told you everything I love about this jacket, and I'm sure I'll think of more things after I edit it, I'll be like, oh yeah, I forgot to tell about this. I mean, specifically with the pockets, interior and exterior pocket is so nice. When I'm skiing abroad, and there are parts of the ski area that go to different countries, you like need your passport, it's nice to have a waterproof pouch like that. Anyway, now that I've told you all those nice things, let's talk about some of the drawbacks, because like any product, this jacket has a couple of drawbacks and things that are worth considering as you're looking into what jacket to buy. Now, this zipper is pretty much perfect. I did have a couple of times, and it's probably the nicest jacket out of all of these. I did have a couple of times where it would jam just a little bit if it got kind of covered in ice and snow. But again, this is a previously owned jacket, so it was at a disadvantage. And honestly, it's like 1 out of 25 times, and it was never an issue. It was usually like, you know, you kind of bang the ice off of it and it goes through. I would say overall, this is still the nicest zipper. Maybe the Patagonia one's a little bit nicer, I don't know. The material isn't quite as rigid against that top-end Arcteryx, but it's as good or better than every other jacket on the market. And honestly, it's slightly easier to move in. So for me, I would probably take that con anyway, but a small nitpick. The big one, and I don't even know if it's a con, I think it speaks a lot to how much I like this jacket, but one small con is that Mammut currently doesn't have a used marketplace of their own where they sell like certified used products. This jacket has held up so well to a full year of abuse, and I got it used before that and it still looks brand new, that honestly a used marketplace for Mammut seems like a missed opportunity. This is such a high quality jacket that I'll be keeping it for years to come, and I think a lot of people would benefit from a used marketplace, and then you can help keep jackets out of the landfill. Maybe that's something on the horizon, and I'm sure it's not an easy thing to do. You have to have a whole warehouse full of used items, but something I would like to see from Mammut in the future. The quality and the opportunity is there. The other con is that this is definitely on the pricey end. At $625, they're not giving these away, but honestly, in my opinion, this is worth every penny. It's that perfect sweet spot of bang for your buck. Yes, it is more expensive than the Patagonia by like $125, but you are getting way more jacket in durability, in weatherproof over the Patagonia, and it's about $275 less than the Arcteryx, and offering you all of those quality of life things and like 1% less on the waterproofing. I think that this is like the perfect sweet spot of functionality, utility, and quality of life creature comforts. So I don't know. I think this jacket was worth every penny spent. And honestly, I'll probably buy another one once this one wears out more. What's the other con? Oh, some of the snow pants and fleeces, I've noticed that they do run a little bit small. The jackets, this is an XL at 6'1", 240 pounds. It fits perfectly. So as far as jackets go, I think the sizing is perfect. But I have noticed like, I have their snow pants, and I ordered a fleece this winter. And I did notice that sizing up just tended to fit a little bit better. Specifically more in their like everyday wear, things like that. But you know, that's just for Mammut as a company. Again, this jacket is perfectly true to size. So what would I give this jacket for a score? Honestly, I mean, you could probably tell from everything else I've said. I've absolutely loved this jacket. It's the nicest jacket I've ever owned. It is on the pricier side, but like I said, I think it's worth every penny. I even went into the Mammut store while I was in France and was like, hey, like I got this jacket used and I just want to know what the difference is between this and the other lines, and you know, maybe look at getting a new one down the line because I like this one so much. And the store worker went to me and goes, why would you buy a new one? The jacket you have is in perfect condition. There's no need. You've got the jacket you need. You don't need to buy any other. Which I thought was awesome. Like, they weren't just trying to sell me on something. They were like, we have a good product, we're standing behind it, we don't care if you bought it used, stick with what you have. And that was so refreshing. I mean, maybe that's just a France versus America thing, but I was thrilled by that. And they just like were so passionate about their products. They were explaining, okay, this one's more for climbing and it has bending at the elbows, which you don't need for skiing. And you know, anyway, what was I talking about? Giving it a score. I love this product. It's the nicest jacket I've ever owned. Honestly, this jacket for me, skiing in Idaho, is a 9.7 out of 10. I'm not paid by Mammut, I'm not paid by anyone. I will have affiliate links for all these jackets so you can help me recoup the cost of buying all of them. But my honest opinion, as somebody independent, this jacket is a 9.7 out of 10. It is phenomenal. It's the nicest jacket I've ever owned. It does everything at such a high level. I am absolutely amazed by the quality and the build of this jacket. This is phenomenal. So for me, it's a 9.7 out of 10. It's definitely on the pricier side. So, you know, if you're not a high mileage user, maybe you look at that DC Haven, or, you know, for a lot of people who aren't going in those big storms, who are going to stay home or stay in the lodge, maybe stick with the Patagonia. It is a very, very nice jacket for the money, and bang for the buck. That probably is the better option. Or if you're somebody who needs this ultra waterproof, windproof material, sure, go for the Arcteryx. But for cut, quality of life, and fantastic waterproofing and rainproofing, like I said, you know, I was out in a foreign country, nervous, getting rained on, and this jacket absolutely held up to the challenge. So for me, it's a 9.7 out of 10. I love this jacket and I'd highly recommend it. In my opinion, this is the best ski jacket you can buy right now. Also, this is a tangent, and, you know, feel free to, you know, to skip this part. But I find it very interesting that the people who seem to be making the best jackets also are building climbing gear. Like, the Kjus jacket was fine, but it really wasn't a practical option with having all of that insulation. This jacket is fairly thin, but I can layer fleeces under it. It's cut well, and I'm not sure why that is. My kind of theory is that because people who are actually climbing mountains, who are actually bouldering, who are actually doing big hikes, they need their jackets to stand up to the elements, and it becomes really apparent which jackets do that and which don't. Whereas skiing, like, if the weather's too bad, a lot of people just go in the lodge anyway. But for people like me who want to hit those big powder days, who want to ski even if the weather's bad, I found that a lot of these more climbing and hiking brands like Mammut and Arcteryx and Patagonia seem to really be doing it right. So just kind of an observation I've made. Like, whereas over the years, the big ski brands like Marker, Carbon, even North Face stuff is okay, but I feel like their quality has kind of fallen to the wayside over style. And it's really amazing to me that all these jackets that are more known for these more rigorous types of sports are making the best ski jackets out there. And Mammut specifically is really into, like, the, you know, they do a lot of avalanche beacons and rock climbing, ice climbing. And, you know, they make this cut specifically for skiing where it's a little bit longer, and they absolutely hit a home run with a ski jacket. So anyway, just kind of a weird aside. If anyone else has noticed that over the years, that like the quality for Spider and Carbon and all of that stuff that was kind of a staple in the 90s seems like their quality has gone down, and in its place these climbing brands have kind of stepped in. So anyway, that's the end of the video. This was kind of a big undertaking and not something I've normally done, but I was curious about who makes the best ski jacket, and I thought you guys might be too. So I hope you enjoyed this video. It definitely cost me a lot of money, but I don't know, I just wanted to be thorough, wanted to like try the best of each brand. I did a lot of research beforehand to see what people recommended, and you know, I was just I found these results really interesting, and I hope you guys did too. If you like this kind of content, please use those affiliate links again down below. You can also like and subscribe. That's another free way of supporting the channel. We do have channel memberships. We'll have like, you don't have to contribute to it. I don't really care too much, but we do have a Ko-Fi if you want to use that. I get people asking about donations all the time. You guys already do so much for the channel just watching that I never want to ask you guys for more, but I do get a lot of emails, so I guess just as a general blanket statement, I will have that Ko-Fi link in the description, but I don't know. You don't need to. You know what I mean? I'm just grateful you guys are here, and I can never say thank you enough for watching my videos. So thank you so much for being here. Thanks for watching, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. See ya.
soleil.